All right. I am joined by our guest this week on the PokerNews podcast. A gentleman I'm very excited to talk to, Hank Azaria. You might know him from the voices on The Simpsons. Personally, Hank, I like you from Ray Donovan. It was one of my favorite shows.
Fun show to work on.
Yeah, and now unfortunately it's all over. And then and of course another one that just ended that's been very popular is Brockmire.
Jim Brockmire, yes. Do you have a Jim Brockmire bobblehead behind you? Because you have everything else in the world.
I should definitely get one. I do not, but
We'll send you one. We'll send you a bobblehead.
There we go. And of course, going back, there's the Smurfs, Border Town. Yeah, it's very exciting to talk to you.
Those are two deep cuts, the Smurfs in Border Town. Nice job there.
Well, it's very exciting to talk to you because we're usually talking to poker players on the podcast. You're a Hollywood guy who just happens to love poker and just did a very big charity event with PokerStars. It was the Stars Call for Action powered by PokerStars, raised $1 million for charity. We covered it for PokerNews. I did personally. I covered your table. Very exciting event. How are you feeling here a few days removed from it?
I'm still kind of buzzing from it. It was a crazy ride, like putting it all together, and then we had a lot of technical difficulties to sort out the first hour. So I was having terrible hostess neurosis. Then it all settled in. I could barely focus. I couldn't really focus on playing poker because there was so many technical things going on. I had so much hosting to do so that was really split focus, because normally I like to actually, focus on what's going on at the table. But it was fun. And then it started out crazy and then ended up really, really fun and kind of warm and fuzzy. It was a crazy ride.
Yeah, your table in particular, it was one of my favorites. It had yourself, Jeff Garlin from Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I love. J.K. Simmons, though he didn't get in, which is a shame. It had Teri Hatcher and then Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
Right, Jeff Garlin was actually another table, but all the rest are correct. And yeah, I was feeling, first hour, I felt so bad that J.K. couldn't get in. He's a good friend of mine, and I was trying to figure out how to help him get in. So, and while I'm doing that, my ace high flush runs into Teri Hatcher straight flush, but that's another story.
Yeah, Teri Hatcher ended up bowing out in third, and then it came down to Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul, which, as a Breaking Bad fan, I thought was pretty exciting.
Kind of fun, yeah. I felt like Tuco, which you don't want to feel like in that circumstance. But yeah, it was fun to watch those guys go at it.
Well, this event was the brainchild of you and Andy Bellin, who I had on the podcast about a month or so ago. And at the time, after the podcast, he reached out and kind of said that you guys had this idea. It was brewing in your head. But the next thing I know, you're working with PokerStars. You guys made this happen. How did it go from idea? What led to the idea? And then how did it go to become this huge event that raised $1 million?
Well, before this, this little global pandemic hit us all, Andy and I were working with an organization in New York called Dream School, which started as Harlem IBI like 30 years ago. And they're these great nonprofit educational organizations. So we're we're putting together a big poker tournament for the fall. The traditional style where people actually sit across from each other and touch cards, and hopefully we'll get back to that again someday. But working on that, and then this happened, and then our game started playing our weekly game that Andy and I playing in New York started coming together through Zoom, like we're talking right now, and on a poker app, and it went great. It was a lot of fun, we just kind of settled up on Venmo afterwards. We're playing for play money on the site. And then as we were realizing we're probably going to have to cancel this fall event, I sort of jokingly said, well, I guess we can run a virtual tournament. And Rich Berlin, who's the head of Dream Foundation, said, well, is that such a crazy idea? I'm like, maybe it isn't. So then we started putting together an idea for doing that right now for Dream. But then we realized really quickly that anything we do right now should be for COVID relief. That's just a frontline concern. And then as we're thinking about the details of an online tournament for money in the same way that we do it in our game, which is it's play money on the site, but a real money is kept in a fund and given to charity. I thought it'd be an amazing idea. I've run tournaments like this for like 20 years, charity tournaments, and why not have players play to win money for their charity? Because it's always unless you're playing at a casino, you can't give out cash prizes.
Right.
A lot of big pain in the neck of putting together charity poker tournaments is you got to put together incredible prizes to give away, like, a week in Cabo, or, 30 hours on a Learjet, or whatever the heck it is. Very hard to accrue those things. So, but if you give people the opportunity to win, like David Costabile, who won our tournament, he won $100,000 for his charity. And we gave $500,000 away to COVID relief, and the other $500,000 got divided up amongst winners' charities.
I was very excited to see David Costabile win, another Breaking Bad alum. He played Gil Bedecker. I love the show Billions, which I just watched the latest episode last night. He, of course, plays Wags on that. And you also had others. You had Brian Koppelman, one of the writers from Billions, and, some other actors and such. In fact, the whole field was just chock full of actors that I've loved for a long time. How did you get so many to participate in this event?
We asked them. That's another thing, Chad. It's like when I do a charity tournament, I'll put out the same kind of invites, and I'm lucky if I get like 5 or 6 celebs to show up, and I think my record was like maybe 11 I had once. And in this, we had 90 some odd celebrities, like 60 US and about 30 from overseas, including like Neymar. And, I think because it's so easy to do this, once we figured out this, electronic way of doing it, it's such an easy commitment. If you can sit at home for a few hours and just, lend your face and play and have fun, why not? So people did, and it's COVID time, and people have not a lot to do, and it's for a good cause. So that probably factored in too. But I bet I'm hoping to do this model again, like in the fall for Dream and whatever. I'll bet I can get like 20, 30 celebs to participate.
That was going to be my next question. Is off the heels of this, which, despite some of the technical hiccups, seemed to be a big success. From a poker media perspective, I certainly feel that way. What was the feedback like from some of the players? Did they give you any hint that they might want to do it again in the future? And then, likewise, it sounds like you want to do something like this in the future.
Yeah, I definitely want to do it in the future because it was fun. And we, now that we've done the baptism by fire, and we'll get it much more correct off the bat the next time. And I didn't have the nerve to ask, but I think that because I didn't want to get no's, but I think a lot of people really had fun. And I think out of 90 celebrity participants, only 8 ultimately couldn't get on, and we had Skype problems you don't want to know from, that never really got it sorted out the way we really wanted it. But, live and learn. And so we'll get it better the next time, but people enjoyed it. I think we will be able to do this again.
I wanted to ask, I've known you've been around poker for a while, but when did you first learn the game of poker, fall in love with it? That's kept this love affair going for so many years.
When I was about 25 years old, so we're talking 31 years ago, I had a bad breakup, and I was like, man, what's male bonding? What's a male bonding thing to do? And a buddy of mine said, well, poker, I didn't know how to play. And I had actor friends, in LA at the time, Matthew Perry, Richard Kind, a few other guys. And Richard really taught us how to play. I never grew up learning how to play. But I started that home game, and it was your classic, like, dealer calls it. And you play stupid wild card games, and it was fun. Like, you play no peaky baseball and spit in the ocean, whatever stupid, silly games we made up with, and one-eye jacks, wild, whatever we're playing. And that evolved eventually into that game stayed together for years and stayed like that. And then by the time the poker boom hit, we had gotten serious enough. For some reason, we all liked playing limit 7-card stud. That was our game for many years. And Josh Molina, another really good actor, was in the game then. He'd always say, let's please play no limit hold'em. We're like, no, it's boring. And you're like, one round of it. We'd play around like, that was boring. See, you got to fold like most hands. And then when the poker boom hit, we finally all really learned the no limit hold'em game. And I threw a lot of home tournaments back then. The first couple of which were 7 stud limit. And then we all made the transition like everybody else about, what, 20 years ago? A little more, maybe 25 years ago. And that game has stayed intact in LA. I moved to New York 6 years ago, but that game still happens. I've had my own game in New York for about 15 years. And it's become this is a long answer, I'm sorry, but one day, like probably about 20 years ago, one of my poker buddies said, well, all the guys in the game are my best friends. I'm like, well, that's sad. This bunch of idiots are your best friends. He's like, well, who are your best friends? These are the only guys I see consistently every week. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. These guys have become my best friends. So, and now, it's become a way to see people I really like and care about and check in with them once a week. And we all enjoy poker. And it's really my only hobby besides whining about the Mets, Jets, and Knicks.
Well, I mean, you can definitely do a lot of whining about those. Have you ever played, at the World Series of Poker or taken a shot at bigger tournaments and such?
Many times, yeah. I played in the World Series, I think 4 times in the main event and a lot of smaller events. And I used to prefer tournament. It was more suited to my risk-averse, patient personality, and then learned cash. And now I prefer playing cash. My best finish was I made it to day 4, and I finished out of the money by like 4 hours or something, which was infuriating. But my son's 10; he's about to be 11. A lot of my buddies go to Vegas every year and play. I would, but I don't have that kind of time.
Sure.
I'll return to it someday.
Well, look forward to definitely seeing you in Vegas. I got to ask on behalf of the co-host of the PokerNews podcast, Cera Herring, when she heard that I was going to be chatting with you, she said to ask this. She said, ask him how the Simpsons is always able to predict the future.
It's weird, isn't it? I think it's just that we predict the Trump presidency. We predicted this virus, a lot of other weird things. I think it's just because there's been so many episodes. It's like a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right.
You toss out that much about the future, some of it's going to be correct.
Right. I don't remember the exact episode, but I remember there was an episode of The Simpsons that was centered on online poker. Lisa was playing online poker. I don't know why I just thought of that, but here's a good question for you. Of all the characters you voice on The Simpsons, or we can even expand it, of all the characters you've played in movies or anything, which one do you think would make the best poker player?
Probably the guy you mentioned from Ray Donovan. That's a pretty incisive, evil, sneaky mind. I can't remember my character's name. Ray. Cochran. What's his first name? He's always called Cochran. Anyway, Cochran from Ray Donovan. I would say maybe that guy. None of my Simpsons characters are smart enough. Maybe comic book guy.
I'm a comic book fan, as you can see from.
I can see that. So perhaps comic book guy would be a decent card player, although he does not have any kind of a stack to speak of. But I would imagine his mind, it might be the closest. Yeah, I would go with Cochran from Ray Donovan.
Well, Hank, I know you're very busy, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. And it's been a blast. And if you ever do another charity event, please, by all means, reach out to us. We want to be involved. We want to cover it. And congrats on the success of this one. It really was a very special event in the poker world.
Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, you guys really helped us out by covering it. So we definitely will be in touch. We're going to do it again for sure.